And that's going to be what we're going to start with. You also need 1 chicken breast cubed up. And we took 1 halibut fillet and cubed that up as well. There's a lot of components to this dish. It's got a lot going on, but the thing about it is it just absolutely bursts with flavor. And that's what makes paella such a great dish, such a popular dish. So we'll get started. First things first is we're going to fry our squid. Ooh, can I get a slotted metal spoon? Yeah. And we're just going to crisp it up, and then we're going to pull it back out. And then we're going to do our veg and start our paella. But you want to get a little texture on the squid. You don't want the squid to be rubbery and just basically get boiled. So we want to give it a little crispiness. So we're going to put a little oil in. Let our pan get nice and hot. We also have a bonus today. While the paella is cooking, I'm going to have Chef Brian do a tableside Caesar salad from scratch for y'all. So we're going to make the dressing, and we're going to dress it. We made croutons. The wonderful thing about a fresh Caesar salad is the dressing. The dressing made from scratch is second to none. Our pan's getting hot here, and we're going to add our squid. This is going to take roughly about 1 minute. We'll add a little salt and pepper. And with this dish, like I said, paella is a dish that's known for just a slap in the face of just flavor. So you're going to need generous amounts of salt and pepper in your seasoning for this dish. So try not to hold back if you're somebody not familiar with heavy seasoning on things. Like I said, just about a minute. As soon as you see them start to shrink, you're probably done. You don't want to overcook the squid, because when squid gets overcooked, it becomes rubbery and takes a little bit to eat. Just like that. We're going to pull that out. We're going to put it back in the same bowl because we're going to cook it again. So we can use the same bowl because we're going to recook it again. It's already given a nice seafood flavor to our pan. Our squid's ready. And now we're going to get started with the base of our paella. The start of the paella is always the rice. So you want to make sure that your rice is really cooked well on this. So first things first, we're going to add our garlic. And let your garlic get nice and brown. A little toast on it. You're going to want to cook this all on high heat to start. Next up, we're going to add half a cup of chopped onion. Give that a nice stir. Same thing, we're going to add everything in layers to this. So you don't want to just add one thing right after another. Add one thing, wait a few minute, let the pan stay nice and hot. If you add things too quickly, it also takes the temperature of the pan down, and then you lose the sear on it. It smells really good. A little salt and pepper to our garlic and onions. And next is our half a cup of chopped red bell pepper. And I already given it a nice color. And as soon as this gets nice and starts to what we call sweating, we see the moisture start to come out of the bell peppers and onions. We're going to add our chicken and our chorizo. And you want to add the chorizo early, because the chorizo is going to bring out that nice, wonderful Spanish flavors. They're going to make this dish. First, we'll add the chicken. A little salt and pepper on the chicken. And we're going to put our chorizo on the other side. And go ahead and let all that get nice and hot. that toasty over there? Yeah. They already start, you can smell, as soon as you add the chorizo, you can just smell the Spanish stuff.
How much chorizo did you add in that?
So we did one chorizo that was, it ended up being, when you chopped it up, it was about a little bit more than a quarter cup. So about a third of a cup.
In diced?
Yeah, just in a cube, just diced in the cubes. That way it holds together as we cook the rice and cook everything down. You just want to get everything nice and browned up. You don't want to overcook it. And next up, we are going to add our tomato puree. Now, if you can't buy one, you can just simply take a can of diced tomatoes and throw it in your blender and puree it up. Be careful not to buy, a can of diced tomatoes that has all kinds of other ingredients in it. Like sometimes they have the jalapenos or fire roast. Just some nice basic tomato puree. That's going to also give it that wonderful color. Once you stir that in, then we're going to add 1 palm of smoked paprika. And that's also, again, going to provide color and those wonderful Spanish flavors. So a nice palm like that. Paprika is, kind of bland. Goes a long ways.
How about the other veg?
Other veg.
We're adding red beans.
Yeah, that comes.
Mm.
So first off, once we get this mixed in, now we're going to hit it with our chicken stock. Once we add the chicken stock, then we'll add our veg and our seafood, and then the dish really starts to come together. Before we do that, we want to deglaze this all because it's got this tomato puree. And right when it all starts to stick to your pan, we're just going to deglaze it with a little touch of white wine. And this is a Chardonnay that we got. You can use a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio. Any of those. Just a little bit, just to deglaze your pan. You don't want the paella having a strong alcohol taste. We're not going for anything like Italian, like a pasta dish. We just want to deglaze. But it does also provide a nice, wonderful, backbone to the flavor in this dish. All right. So now we're ready for our chicken stock. And what you do with this chicken stock, and I almost forgot, because we're going to be adding rice to this, we're going to keep track of how much chicken stock we're going to put in here. So I'm thinking I'm going to need about 1 cup. Because we don't want to, about 1.5 cups. And then we'll do 2/3 rice, because we don't want to add too much stock and then we don't have enough rice in there. And we have either a brothy paella or we have rice that didn't get cooked because we didn't add enough stock. So keep track of how much stock you put in and go ahead and bring that to a boil. While you're waiting on that, you can add your green beans. And you may not need all your green beans, just a nice handful. Peas. Just give a nice color. Let that get nice and stirred in. This guy, bro. You get me 2/3 cup of rice. Yep. This guy. Good. Very good. All right. So since we've been adding everything, we want to add a little bit more salt and pepper. And now we get that rice in here. The rice is going to be the star of the dish. At the end, we're going to do what's called the sofrite. And at the end, we're going to crisp up the rice at the very bottom. And that's what the Spanish love. It's the favorite part of this paella. It's the Spanish. So we're gonna crank this up at the very end for 60 seconds and let it get almost like a black layer at the bottom. And then we're gonna cover it and let everything steam. That's gonna be our finishing touch to this dish. 3/4 of a cup. Looks good. All right, we're getting nice and hot again. We want to let this go about 5 minutes. And then we'll add our rice. And then you do another 5 minutes, and then we'll add our seafood. And then we'll get on to the finishing part. So while this is getting hot and this is going to take that, I'll be jumping in. I'm going to turn it over to my assistant Brian, and he's going to do the Caesar salad, which goes well with this dish from scratch. So he's going to show you the dressing, and then we're going to show you how to plate it. If anybody has any questions right now, where we're at in this, feel free to jump in right now. Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Okay.
So, unlike Matt, this is the very first time I've ever done this. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this is how to make a Caesar salad and not how not to make a Caesar salad. Okay, so we've got a tin of anchovies all pastified. I think he did it in a food processor and or with a fork.
So you can buy anchovy paste, or you can buy the fillets and just chop them up or blend them.
I don't know if you could hear him, but he said you can buy anchovy paste, which I have done. It comes in a tube. It's not attractive. Or you can buy them in a tin, and then they look attractive, and then you turn them into a paste at home. Net difference of 0. Here's 3 cloves of garlic as well. I put them all in the same thing because that's what the recipe said to do. And some salt. And then what I saw online was you take your fillets and your garlic and some like rough kosher salt, and you can chop it all up on the cutting board and then use the edge of your knife to turn it all into a smooth paste. But here I have them all turned into a paste separately, and now they are not going in there because what we're supposed to do is so this is lemon juice and mustard. So that's 3 cloves of garlic, 2 teaspoons of salt, and a tin of anchovies without the oil. This is 6 tablespoons of lemon juice and 2 teaspoons of mustard, which kind of turned into a lovely little mixture of their own, all on their own. So we're mixing that with the egg. This is 3 egg yolks. So Caesar dressing is an emulsion, so it's basically a fancy mayonnaise. So we're going to mix in our egg yolks with our lemon juice. Get those to a homogeneous mixture, homogeneous. If someone knows the right version of that word, you chime right in and let me know, because my friends and I spent 30 minutes arguing and Google did not help at all. So is it homogeneous? Is it homogeneous? No one knows.
I think it's the second one.
Homogeneous, right?
Homogeneous.
That's what I always thought. And then someone told me I was wrong. And that someone may have been my mother. And so that kind of cut me off.
Case closed.
Okay, anyway, so now we're making the emulsion. Oh, goodness. This bowl has a bottom. Here, what we're going to do real quick is lean the bowl up so that it all pools on this end. And I can't show you the inside of the bowl really, but I'll show you. Okay, so right now it's like a loose scrambled egg mix. Now we're gonna very slowly add in oil. Oh, those last? That's not what my recipe said. All right, we're doing this first, according to Matt. We're gonna mix in our anchovies and salt and garlic. And we're gonna wing it, and thankfully he stepped in here, which means if it doesn't work, it's not my fault.
You know, the reason you would do it all, you would mix it all, is because if you put the oil in and then you try to blend it all at once, it'll often separate. Sometimes it won't and you'll get lucky, but if you do it this way, you guarantee that it will not separate.
I like it. Okay, I'm moving my mic. Oh, so we can both be heard. So smart. We have Rosie in the back guiding us, making this all functional. Okay, and now for the oil. We're adding it very slowly as we whisk. Can you explain how an emulsion works? Because I know how it works, but I can't explain it.
The emulsion is just blending it all together.
Right? It's getting so the fat. I don't remember. Oh, what are you doing there, Matt?
I just added the rice. I was gonna
Okay.
jump in when we're done. So. I'm just adding the rice, we're stirring it in, and we're just gonna simmer it for 10 minutes. Nice and low, nothing big.
I'm trying to add this slow enough that I don't see any big globules of oil on top. I'm moving desperately that it comes together. Anything wrong? Excellent. That's what I like to do.
What are you doing right now, Brad? What do you do with the oil?
Oh, I am whisking. So you can either just go back and forth very gently or.
All
kind of in a-
yeah, all he's doing right now is adding the oil just enough to where it's got a nice consistency. As soon as it does, a quick taste and it's ready to go.
This is one of those dishes where you do have to use a raw egg yolk, and that can be daunting for some. They sell pasteurized eggs, so you can buy it's a raw egg. It's just been pasteurized, so you can eat it raw, and it's fine. And it sounds like the best thing in the world, and I've been super excited about it ever since I've heard of them in like 2013, and I've never seen them anywhere. So if any of you know where to get those, let me know. I'm still desperate to try.
So I'll help Brian plate that. Really? Yeah. The scratch ones are really, really good.
I think it might just be a little bit. So the recipe called for 1/4 cup of oil. We tripled the recipe, so. Oh, I was wondering where I've seen this bottle before. I have the same bottle at home and I use it to water my plants. There's a little detail about my life that I'm sure you are all just dying to know. Plants. Succulents, and I just got into them. I was always like, these are lame. And then I was on the internet and I was looking at plants and someone was like, these are cool. And I was like, well, I guess they're cool. And then I bought like 40 of them. So. Goji berries? Oh, a bunch of like edible stuff. Yeah, I've never had fresh ones and I don't know where you can get fresh ones. So I decided to grow fresh ones. And if they're terrible, I'm gonna be really pissed off. Always prepared to be angry. Did you get told? I did not. All right, so it's kind of thickening up. I can speak. Thickening up. We're good? Yeah. All right, we're making a loose. Not loose?
No, if you refrigerate, if you're thinking of dressing once it's refrigerated.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So remember, it's gonna be a little runnier because it's not gonna be refrigerated. If I was to take this and put it in the fridge now, it is gonna thicken up real quick because of the oil. So obviously, if you take oil and put it in the fridge, it clumps up right away.
All right, so.
Just salt, and pepper. Oh boy, I'm just gonna give these a nice toss. This one too. Yeah, go ahead. Let's move them around. All right. Just gonna clean them up together, nice and pretty.
We're just coating them.
Here our paella starting to move.
So how long does the rice typically take to cook to?
Since-
ideal texture.
Yeah, this rice is gonna take 20 minutes. It's just like regular rice, you're gonna cook it pretty quick. And it's gonna go. All right.
Now, how
Yeah,
should
give
we
it a
do
nice
flavor?
drain, like you had it, just like that, and then drain it real nice.
Should I do individual leaves?
You could, and then set them up, but just try to stack them all up.
Okay. And stack them on top of each other?
Not completely, but we'll check it out.
This is where like the training of a chef actually comes in handy, is the plating. Because I'm fairly proficient at cooking at home, but my plating is like, here's the food that I'm gonna eat, as opposed to like, here's a thing for your eyes.
Not everything goes in a bowl.
Yeah, but when you're in my house, everything goes in a bowl. Especially if it's Asian food, because there's like almost no real good way to plate that.
That's not true.
It depends on what it is. I made mapo tofu, and it's just tofu and good. It's delicious though. Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
that's,
Give this guy back to you.
try to keep it to a bowl.
Okay.
So you're gonna move this down. So we have our Caesar salad ready to go here. We have our lettuce dressed, and I made these croutons with just some nice bread that we had donated here at Grayberry's, and put butter and garlic, salt and pepper, a little oil, and grilled them. Finished them with parsley. And then the final touch to a Caesar salad is Parmesan cheese.
Beauty.
And there's a nice handmade Caesar salad that you can make tableside in a restaurant, which is always fun. It's always a nice experience when somebody's made tableside. Go ahead. So we're going back to our paella. So a few minutes ago, I just added a little bit more chicken stock to it because I saw that it was a little heavy on rice, and I want to make sure that it's a nice moist paella, that the rice doesn't dry it out. So, but it's moving along nicely, and we're ready to add our seafood to it, which really is sometimes the star of this. You know, you can absolutely make a seafood paella, which, depending on who you talk to, might be more traditional. I think that the chicken and chorizo really bring out a nice Spanish flavor that you can't get from the seafood. So, brown chicken should take care. We can leave that guy in. So we're going to throw our squid back in, since we didn't finish it off. And we're going to add our fish, our halibut. And we add this at the end because the halibut and the shrimp and the mussels are probably the most delicate, even more than the squid. And you don't want to overcook those. So we're just going to fold it all in nice. And one thing with this dish is because you're going to cook it all pretty fast and together, is make sure that everything's prepped beforehand. If you're having to cut fish or, you know, oh, I need to prep the green beans real quick, you're going to lose timing on this dish. So do yourself a favor and just cut everything before. That way you can enjoy it. You know, you can have a, whatever you do, a glass of wine, a Diet Coke, whatever. You can enjoy cooking this. So we folded in our shrimp, or I'm sorry, our fish. A little bit more salt and pepper. Like I said, it's going to be generous with this dish. And now we should have the base for all of our flavors. So now we can just add our shrimp and our mussels, and we're almost there. And how we're going to do this, absolutely, is we're just going to place these all. You ever seen a big paella pan? It's huge. I've cooked in restaurants where some of them are, as big as I can put my arms around. And they make like 2 batches of paella for dinner service, and that's it. This, I'm using a cast iron pan. I would anticipate this is going to be enough for 2 people. And, if you want to get a nice paella pan, absolutely do that. Otherwise, cast iron works really, really well. Or just your biggest frying pan you got. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my shrimp just around clockwise. That way, when it's done, it's going to have this nice, pretty look to it at the end. And after the shrimp, we're going to add our mussels. I really like shellfish. I think shellfish is probably my favorite out of all the fishes and different things. So if you nail the shellfish and the rice on this, you should be cooking in a restaurant.
That's beautiful.
Okay. So now that we've added it all, we're going to slowly push it down into our broth. And we're going to let this get hot for 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, then we're going to crank up the heat, and we're going to cover it with foil and let it finish and just steam all together. Working in restaurants, sometimes they throw them in a pizza oven. You can use it in your oven. I think it works just fine, just cranking it up and covering it. And you get actually the better sear on the bottom, which is what authentic Spaniards look for in a paella. And we just put our shrimp in, so a little bit of salt and pepper on top. And when we're done, we're going to finish it with parsley and lemon. So about 1 more minute. Have foil. Does anybody have any questions so far? Hope I'm not moving too fast since we had a little technical difficulties. We got started a touch late, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has. Okay, so at this point, we've added our seafood, we've got it simmering. Now I'm going to crank this sucker up to all the way to 10. And I'm going to give it a few seconds to get hot, but then we're going to time it for about 60 seconds. And we're going to pull it off. And then we're about 7 minutes from being done. While we do that, I think we'll have somebody test our Caesar salad, which our guest Rosie will test it. And then we'll cover this, and then we'll have somebody test our paella. And we can tell you guys all about it. So, quick sequence. Again, just you want to push your muscles down into the broth. That way you make sure your muscles open up. Again, at the end, if the muscles don't open, it's okay. They didn't cook. You can either throw them out, or you can try to put them in a separate pan and get them to open. You can put in a little bit of chicken, whatever broth you're using. If we're doing a seafood paella, we just finish them in a little fish stock, or you can put them in a little chicken broth and see if they open up. Sometimes, muscles, they're living, breathing things, so they're just not going to open. Almost there. How's that smell? Good. And we can round up the troops for it smells like all late lunch. Okay. Almost. This is the last part that you can get rushed on, and you just want to be patient on. You want to get the pan as hot as you can get it, and then pull it off. And that's the trick to capturing all that steam and it coming out just perfect. Yeah, that smoked paprika will really just give it a nice smoky flavor. Almost. Want to come around, Rosie, and try this Caesar salad? Just grab a fork right there.
Hello, everyone. Always love to be the guest to test all the
Yeah.
food because it's so delicious.
That's why we're here.
Here. Get it. Try the lettuce. From all things, I had to test the lettuce, the hardest one. That is so delicious.
We'll cover that guy.
That's a good one. Got it. What's it got? There was too much oil going in there, but it's actually delicious.
The lemon comes through.
Delicious.
That's what you want.
Lemon. Delicious. That's a big mouth. That's what we love finding you here.
Oh, thank
I'm interested to see what you think about that. Yeah. Okay. I tried a piece. I tried a piece in the back, and I thought maybe I went a little heavy on the lettuce, but I am used to store-bought salad dressing.
Salads are delicious.
It's good. Either way.
I'll give it a whirl.
It's very easy to make. So
Delicious. Delicious.
I really like the anchovy in a fresh Caesar salad. So. Also, one thing to keep in mind when you make this, because the anchovies are going to be salty on their own, is really be careful on the salt and pepper. You can always add it and then check it out and try it later.
it's good. It's really easy to make, and you can also like adjust for whether or not you like however much anchovy or however much lemon. So make it once by the recipe and then make it again very quickly and easily.
It's a great thing to do when you're entertaining because people like to see the egg yolk.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. If you're a foodie and you see an egg yolk going into things, you know that it's going to be yummy. So at least that's my personal take. So we're waiting on our paella. We're just letting it steam nice, letting our seafood finish, and then we're going to plate it up and we're going to have somebody try it. Who's somebody rounded up to try it?
Yep.
I think everyone's muted.
Yeah.
No one has any questions, right? Because you're all muted, so we're fine.
Yeah, this will be a last chance for any questions on this because we're almost out of time here.
If for some reason we get cut off before the paella gets eaten, just rest assured that it's delicious and that we did everything right.
So, yeah. Technology. Which I just want to say, if you guys haven't used an induction stove or burner yet, I just highly recommend it. I will just put it on your counter. They save energy. They cook hotter. They heat up hotter. They cook more evenly. All the good things I heard about induction stoves and hot plates have all been 100% true.
I've driven.
We're very happy that we were able to get it.
I've driven across the country 3 times, and I really wish I thought of buying one of these before. It's a great way to like prepare a simple meal in a hotel room. It takes up almost the most
You can see, you could totally just take them to a hotel room. And they don't smoke on their own or anything, so.
Oh, it smells good.
All right, Sam's here.
Wow.
So, we have just a few minutes left, so we're gonna plate up our paella. And we have a couple people here who are gonna be our guest taste testers. I hope we've given this enough time. Want to make sure it's done. We want the rice to be done. So we'll give a quick peek. And I think we're good. So, like I said, what you want to do is you want to go through. You want to make sure that all your muscles opened up on their own when they got cooked. Even if they opened up a crack, solid crack, the inside of the mussel got cooked. So you can also just give it a little help and just finish opening it up. That helps whoever you're plating it for know that it's finished. We have our director, Tim, as our guest taste tester today.
How exciting.
So what you'll do is plating this. So just put a nice spoon. I think we got forks out there. I'll grab
I got one.
Look at that.
Let's see that.
some. We got our shrimp and our mussels.
Pork. All right.
And then
Like we have some. Hey, what about the wine? I don't think so.
that's in there. It's in there.
How do you have paella without wine?
And we're gonna finish it with parsley.
Wow. Look at that.
Woo!
Amazing. All right, I'll step here and then I'll give it a little taste.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little hot. Don't burn your mouth. You won't taste anything.
I taste pain. It's
Mm.
delicious.
Mmm,
The flavors.
beautiful smoky, delicious flavor, deep flavor.
Like I
It's
said,
just the right, yeah, it's got a little
Kick.
savoriness and.
that's what, with all these different components in the dish, that's what we're going for. So we have something that just pops with flavors.
Just burst with flavor. The rice is done perfectly. Bravo. Thank you. Yeah.
If anybody doesn't have any
Paella.
questions, we'll put the recipe up online and we're out of time. That's it from Gray Bears. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bon appetito.
That's it. Any questions?
Good job. Adios.
Uh,